I think that trend has probably been increasing for at least a decade or two, to the point where now we have such great forms of communication like mobile phones, like laptops and so forth, that your job can come home with you, you can go away on holidays with you. It's there on the weekends, definitely.
I remember having a big argument in England with somebody at a cocktail party because he said the trouble with these Americans is they work too hard. And so I gave it back to him that, well, America is shouldering the nuclear weaponry and all the other things as being policemen to the world and so on, which didn't get over too well with him. But I was doing what one tends to do. In England, I defend America, and in America, I defend England. And but he was right. Americans do work far too hard. I saw a recent statistic where Americans work something like 2 months more a year than the Germans do, and 2 weeks more a year than the Japanese do. We think of a lot of little people working frantically at their looms and so on, but they actually work 2 weeks less than the average American.
It looks like it's a free country and it's a free place, but I have the feeling that the people they think all the same things, you know? They go after all the same things. I mean, of course, all the society does to have more technology, but I talk about the people that I knew. I didn't feel that they have a free mind to think or a free mind to express, or you know what I mean.
I built up this business, you know? I built up everything. I work hard, and I really work like 12 hours a day to build up this, you know? And then I made all the furniture, and then I made all the rooms, I made everything. I made everything in an artistic way. I mean, every little things I put my creativity into it, you know, like tables and then for what concerned me, the job is finished, you know? But for me, it's more, now it's the time for me that I do my thing, you know? I do what I like.
The main area where I think we've noticed what our current standard of living and the pace at which we live, which is facilitated by technology at the moment, tends to be in the family life, about the roles in the family and how the family is actually existing. What actually comprises a family these days differs so much. The message that I keep receiving from people is family is important. This message comes particularly from young families who are trying to help their kids with particular problems like anxiety or depression and so forth. Family life is important. They're trying to help other family members, but they're in conflict with what their work requirements are. That self-determination, that drive to prove yourself because you're competing with yourself, essentially, forces people to stay extra hours and put in the extra work, even though it's not written up in their contract, for example.
The family with two workers working away, long hours, as I say, 2 months a year more in hours, more than the Germans, not to get ahead, but to stay even. What tends to happen is that they have to buy a house with their newfound wealth. It's difficult to get the down payment. In fact, the down payments are going up faster than their wages are going up. So whenever they decide to buy a house, it's already too late. They're already scrambling for money. So they do overtime. So you have two people doing overtime to keep the American family alive, and the result is they don't have a family. Later, when things get better, we'll have our child, and so on. And so, as a result, we have a lot of people who would love to have children who can't have them because they're working too hard. They never have any time at home.
And for me, I feel quite fulfilled about, I feel like in balance. You know, for example, the work I do now, with the internet, with the computer and the stuff, I don't think about money. I mean, I'm not stressed about money. I'm just concerned about the work. I'm about to raise little babies, like to raise, you know, a creation. But I don't think about money.
Because at least when I am alone here, I am alone. I am alone in the fields, I am alone in the house. But I think it's worse, no. It's more sad to feel alone in the middle of the people, because it's more frustrating. It's like you have people is there, but it's not possible to connect, it's not possible to reach them. I think it's more sad.
If 20% of individuals are depressed, then they're obviously not content. And they're only the ones that go and get help. But one of the main things that we see with stress is it facilitates and exacerbates so many other types of symptoms like depression and anxiety, and it's so interrelated to these kinds of clinical disorders that by the time that I see clients suffering from depression or anxiety, they've had such a long period of stress that it's now part of their life.
I am from Milano, but if I was American, I was a New Yorker, you know, with this kind of mentality, work and work and work. And also Milano is a city that just think about work. The work is the main thing there. If you don't work, I mean, in Milano, either you work or you become a drug addict. So, but I think this is the typical big city, yeah?
If you look at the constantly reiterated figures for how our productivity is going up, it would seem that we are producing sort of 500 times as much as we were, say, 100 years ago. But does that mean the people at the bottom are getting 500 times as much? An artisan, a smithy or something of this sort, a millwright, could do the same thing with 10 weeks' work a year. Now compare that with, come all the way up to here. Can we really, as artisans, get our food for ourselves and our families, even our tiny families by comparison, with 20% of our income? And that was half a millennium ago. Shouldn't we see such a difference, such an improvement? There's just no comparison. Instead, my golly, food was cheaper back then than it is now.
It's not because I am against America. I don't want to say them because I love America. So, but America, I mean, they consider themselves the most free country in the world. Yeah, they consider themselves. They always said that we are the most free country in the world. But what is missing in America is the freedom to be yourself, to be an individual.
But I could feel it. They all think on the same way. They move all in the same way. They come in holiday and they are the most stressed people that they go and visit Italy. this is what I can see here, what's happening. One day here, one day. They have everything programmed. They booked the restaurant. They emailed me to book a restaurant 2 months before. You know what I mean? It's like everything is so programmed. It's different from us. I mean, it's different from me.
I was looking the other day in Montana where the people, now we're talking about working poor, not the people who don't work. You know, these people are not worth anything because they're not working. These are the people who work. And they get $8,000 a year at their work. And they have a scheme in Montana where they're given an extra $2,800. Now, think of this, $10,800 they get with the welfare payment. Why aren't they enjoying all this wonderful productivity that we've been having for the last 100 years or 200 years? The answer is it's not getting to the poor people. On the other end of the scale, the rich are getting richer all the time. And indeed, the people at the top are getting very, very rich, very, very fast. And we've almost come to accept this. You know, it's a thing that should be. But should it be this way? Probably wrong to call them slaves, but the people there are really tied down.
Where is the message to invest in the relationships outside of work, though? There's no idea of success in being a good husband, wife, father, etc. anymore. We don't have a performance measure of a good father or a good husband anymore, but we have very clear indicators in the job place. We tend to find that people like to work hard, but I don't think the play hard aspect, which is so widely fantasized, is there. So ultimately, all the energy is going into this work environment. But getting back to it again, I don't think the connection's there. I don't think that they actually feel that they are investing something in an environment that is going to give them the ultimate fulfillment and satisfaction that's going to last for a very long time.
The way an economy works, or should work, is for the people themselves. And even people at the bottom without a lot of skill and so on should be able to earn a pretty good living considering how easy it is to produce nowadays. But they're not. A private law, a privilege, is a law which takes from one and gives to another. Now, laws are the glue that holds society together. But an absolutely important part of every law is that it should apply equally to everybody. A privilege does not. It takes from you and gives to me. And one of the things they do, which it might be amusing, I'm not sure, but one of the things they do is if you start complaining about the privilege, they give you a little privilege. Now you're on the side of privilege, your little bit of privilege, you know? And so do you bother about the big privilege? No, because you fear if you go after the big privilege, you'll lose your little bit of privilege. And unfortunately, that's the way, I would say, most of the economies of the world work, with privileges.
What we're also seeing is that people are going to work and working so hard for someone else, so that by the time they get home, they're not interested in doing anything with anyone else. They're wanting their own time. And this is a trend that we have seen for years in management, where management go on holidays and their idea of a holiday is to do nothing. Not to have fun, not to laugh, not to relax, but to unwind. And I use those two words differently because I really do perceive the workplace as winding them up so much that it's not like they actually get to a level of relaxation, a level where they can become comfortable and happy, but more that they just get back to a normal base level of arousal so that they can go back to work again and deal with their work situation better. And I think that pattern is what we see at home as well. At home we see people coming home and switching on the television because they want to be entertained. Something that's entertaining is something that's good. And I mean, this has been something that's been recognised in humans for a very long time. Goebbels didn't try to entertain the masses in Germany during the war without knowing what he was really trying to do. Keep the masses entertained, then you'll keep them happy.
And in the big city like New York, you have so many hammer in your brain and stress and work and power, and you need to, all this competition, all this rush for money. That very easily you lose the perception about yourself, about your being, about your need.
The question arises, what about technology? Because we now, everybody has a computer or 2 computers. We have 4 computers in my house. Have they given us more leisure? I don't think so. The able people who can use the technology, once again, they're the ones who are working harder.
And you can choose what virtual world you would like. You can choose which internet site you visit and how you would like to create yourself within that environment. You could be anyone. It's just like we have this perception of knowing everything about everyone but nothing about anyone and nothing intimate about anyone. If you meet someone, you won't ask them who they are. There's a good chance they probably don't know. You'll ask them what they're doing and you try to get an idea of who that person is based on what their role in their job is. So about fulfilling ourselves in a very small environment, we've made sure that there are plenty of escape routes. But the reality is that when you turn off the computer, you're still left with yourself. And I truly believe that a lot of people don't know who they are.
I mean, if you choose to live in a countryside here, like in a situation like this, what I feel here that we use technology and we are not used by technology.
And this is the average. The people who are going the longest distance are really that they are like the Japanese were. They hardly see their families in the evening, and they're off to work in the morning before the families get up. And this is no way to keep families together. It's no way to bring up children. Their children never see their father. They probably don't see their mother either very much because she probably has another job too. And this really has led to the disintegration of the American family. We talk always of results.
The current trend is, though, that so much time is spent at work that there is little else left in your life to truly experience anything else. So suddenly the X can depict not only your role as, or your life as a particular occupant of a job, but it can also summarise your life.
I mean, to live here, it's... when I wake up in the morning, I always sit there where you are sitting. And I look outside. I like the area. I mean, I have so much space. The rhythm is different. I love this surrounding. I love my house and I love this place. And this is what keeps me here, you know?
I don't think humans are simple creatures, but I think we have very simple needs. I think the fact that people are out there looking for some other way of existence indicates that they're not currently satisfied with what they've currently got.
I didn't reach the paradise yet. I think the paradise that I can reach is only inside myself, but it's still long the way.
What I experience a lot with clients are individuals who are terrified of letting anyone in. They have boundaries built all around them.
This is serious, you know. This is what the economy is all about. It's not about the Federal Reserve and the stock market and so on. It's about people in their homes trying to enjoy life together. There is no time for leisure, unfortunately. And if this latest statistic is true, that the average American gets about 9 days vacation a year, then there's not much hope for anybody, is there?
Empty is a word that clients use often to describe their state. This emptiness, this hollowness, that if you remove all the other factors away from them, that they don't know who they are.
And it's people like that who are doing the long hours. Now, will they give up? I wonder if they, perhaps we were talking about revolution. Maybe the revolution will come from these able people who say just simply, I'm not going to work any longer. I'm going to go home at 5 o'clock. I want to see my family once in a while. Maybe that's where the revolution will come from. But there's no sign of it at the moment because there's that mortgage leering over your shoulder that has to be paid. And you have the big mortgage because you've got the big house, because you earn so much, because you're so able. And now you're caught.
I think the basic human need is not confined by money. I think the basic human need comes out of clear acceptance from those around them. Therefore, in the current environment where that acceptance is conditional upon a particular performance which a person mightn't be able to sustain, ultimately the person's not going to reach utopia with the current climate.
This is serious, you know. This is what the economy is all about. It's not about the Federal Reserve and the stock market and so on. It's about people in their homes trying to enjoy life together.
What I feel here that we use technology and we are not used by technology.
If people weren't discontented, then they wouldn't be even contemplating or thinking of themselves as being in the rat race. Most people do. Inherent in various religions or spiritual drives is the idea that the person is considered a worthwhile person from the outset.
So in society today, as you can see here in New York as well, it's very characteristic of United States and the Western world. When I came from East Europe here, people will say time is money, and time is money, implying that they are giving value to time if they connect it with money, which is odd. Time is better than money. You're devaluing time by saying time is money, because time is relationships. Time is the best thing that we are given in equal amount to everyone. And you cannot accumulate time. Time flows. See, things you can accumulate and you can control, but time you can't. Since we cannot control time, we try to use time to collect stuff to have more control.
The solution is getting real and accepting that you've got to rethink your whole value system. Am I going to allow my value system to be manipulated by the marketing person who knows how to manipulate my needs and my wants and my desires and be able to make me want more than I really need? And it is really time for people to sit back and say, hey, this whole thing is out of control at the moment. We have to reevaluate the whole thing. We need to reevaluate our whole life. And there are many people who are willing to just sell up and go out to the country and try and start again on the basis of that. There are other people in the city who say, all right, I'm just going to make sure that I only work this amount of time and I put this amount of time into my family in the evening.
People expect everything to be done faster, than it was supposed to be done before. So actually, I think maybe it stresses you a bit more than before. People now expect, with the help of technology, things to be done fairly quickly, and that's why maybe it doesn't really help in everyday life.
You're saying that perhaps people are more impatient.
That's right.
Because they're used to everything being instant.
Exactly. So in that sense, maybe technology had a negative impact.
I mean, certainly almost every time that I have to wash sheets and towels and jeans in a washing machine, I say, thank God for whoever invented the washing machine. I think there are lots of things like that I know give me time that perhaps my mother and grandmother, and certainly my great-grandmother, didn't have. I think I'm very lucky personally, because I spent the first 15, nearly 16 years of my life in the Caribbean, in a context where, certainly at that time, most people didn't have a washing machine or lots of mod-cons, and people lived relatively simply. I mean, I wouldn't say hardly anybody had a television, but it wasn't the majority, certainly. And I think that having learnt to do things manually and simply and so on, I appreciate certain things like the washing machine and so on that are taken for granted here. But at the same time, I think there are lots of pleasures from doing just something with your hands and taking time to do it.
You see, I think that what you were saying about these two people as well who met over the internet and have never met before, there's only so much you can portray through a computer, isn't there? They could meet up and find out they actually don't get on at all, and there's actually personality things that they never knew about each other. And so there's only so much that you can actually get to know somebody without actually meeting and being together and having conversations.
Are you saying that's a negative thing?
I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but I do think that it's an important thing to consider. I do agree that communication is great to have, the internet, and it's great to have a wider group of people to communicate with and people that you've never met before, and it's fantastic in that sense. But to a certain extent, it's very plastic, isn't it? It's not like a real feeling of getting to know somebody until you've actually met them.
Yeah, but no, it's
the virtual aspect of it.
It's a different kind of reality.
Impersonal.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of reality.
It does make it a bit impersonal.
But we are just going to adapt to our environment, you know, and we're in the process of adapting, and that's why some people find it really cool and exciting, and some people may find it a bit more fear-inducing.
So do we have to, though? Do we have to adapt to an environment that perhaps is not taking us down the right road? Perhaps it's too impersonal.
A reality, as you would see from Joshua Heschel, he wrote a book about time, and he says that in West, reality is defined as thinghood. Even the word reality comes from Latin word things, res. And in the Old Testament, there's no word for thing. And then you can see in most of the religions, what is holy for people is things, sanctuaries, items, geographical, mountains, you know, in Japan. And it's just everywhere, it's things. But with Judaism and Christianity, it is the first religion that actually the first holy thing mentioned in the scriptures is a day, is time. And to recapture this holiness and beauty of time is something that that Christianity can offer to people today. That they will start to measure their lives differently. There is such a thing as holiness in time, that not all hours are alike. They are different. See, like in things, you have wood and you have gold, or you have stone and you have gold. The same way in time, you have week and you have rest and special time and Sabbath, you know, for Jews and for those who observe Sabbath. And that's why it's, you know, people have lost that sense, and for them, all hours are expendable. It is just there to pass. They're not educated, society is not teaching them, and they themselves do not dare to cherish time as a value in their lives. But all important things in life are connected with time. And I think the society we live in is promoting thinghood as reality.